Hello and welcome back to the race recap. As we kick off the second half of the season, Silverstone delivered plenty of action, including an early safety car and yet another impressive finish for many teams. Alpine secured their third points finish of the season, while other teams are giving Red Bull a run for the Constructors' Championship following a remarkable season last year. We're all left wondering if this season will mirror the last in terms of Red Bull's results. As we approach the time when driver movements for the next season are typically announced, there is increasing buzz about sponsors and contract negotiations, yet no definitive news has emerged. Members of the Sky Sports crew had the opportunity to observe teams testing an experimental tyre compound after the race weekend, a development aimed at the 2025 season that is expected to enhance team strategy and likely increase the number of pit stops. With plenty of excitement still to come both on and off the track, the focus now shifts to Hungary for the upcoming qualifying sessions.
No pit stops, no strategy, it's all about the pace today. Qualifying day here at the Hungaroring for the Hungarian Grand Prix.
All right, here we are for Hungary. A little tricky coming through those final few corners here as we hit the long straight, hit DRS. I'm feeling pretty good about this. P7 to start out. It's good enough to get us into Q2. And then our first lap of Q2, we actually got a good tow from Albon as that drag really slowed his time down. So he's P9, we're P7. That's good enough to get us into Q3. And it's our final run of Q3. We're up by just under 8 tenths. We're trying to push as much as we can through that final corner. And it's 6 tenths improvement. It's going to be good enough for E8.
Welcome to Budapest once again for another round of Formula One action. Historically, a good race for first-time victories, with Button, Hill, Alonso and Heikki Kovalainen all reaching the top step of the podium for the very first time right here. 14 corners then for our drivers to navigate at the 2.7-mile Hungaroring today. It's 6 lefts and 8 rights around a lap here, with average speeds in the region of 120 miles per hour. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. Edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Sainz, Hamilton, Russell, Johnson, Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Albon, Hulkenberg, Stroll, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Joe, Tsunoda, Bottas, Sargent, and Sergio Perez completes our grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. And alongside me for the first time this season here in the commentary box, Naomi Schiff. Hello, Gnomes. Now, you're the racing driver in this partnership, so tell us about this racing driver. Put us in their shoes. How are they going to be feeling?
It's a very special time for the drivers. It's almost like everything around you slows down and you become hyper-aware. So your nerves slightly go up, your adrenaline's going up. It's the perfect time to start focusing on your visualizations and preparing for the race. So you want to avoid distractions and really stay cool, calm, and focused.
All right, we're at a pretty consistent position to keep getting into the top 10 for qualifying. Let's get out there and secure some more points for the team.
The formation lap gets underway then, and it's going to be interesting today to see how the dry conditions could affect the lifespan of the tyres. Cars make their way back to the starting grid to form up and get ready for lights out. Let's hope the race ahead today is a thrilling one that will go down as a memorable Grand Prix in the history books.
Alright, so it's pretty overcast today, and to our surprise, looking at the race director here at the beginning of the race, everybody is going to be on the same tire strategy, and that all comes down to what lap people are going to be pitting on. Everybody on the mediums, most likely everybody going to be stopping for hards. One lap stop for the entire race. P8, Gasly's behind us, P9, 5 red lights and Ron. And we are off to an okay start. We have Russell there on the left side, off to a better start. Looks like everybody up ahead of us has had a better start than us. Gasly still side by side with us. We're trying not to make any contact here in turn 1. We're close. We're wheel to wheel here. We try to give him room as we kind of slide there. And we're still side by side coming through these corners, but we're not the only ones coming through side by side. So we're trying to hold out. And we're basically giving up that position here coming down the hill to start sector 2. Pretty good start for us. We're still in the same position. It's going to be like this a lot though. With Alpine, P8, P9, we're still in a decent position right now for points. We just need to make sure that we don't have any mistakes. You can see we're already starting to lose some pace through sector 2 as we come up to sector 3. You can see Hulkenberg made a mistake there, dropping out of P13, losing 2 positions on Stroll and Albon, as Lando Norris leads the race. And this first lap is feeling pretty good. Verstappen 7/10 back behind Norris as he leads, as we're still trying to keep close to Gasly, as we have DRS here active on lap 1. We won't get it till lap 2 actually, because of the detection zone being here in the final 2 corners, as we're ahead of Alonso for P9. Feeling really good about this launch out of this corner, and as long as we hold on to this, we'll be pretty decent. Lap 6, Verstappen's ahead now. Norris is back down to P8. He had some issues with the car, and it wasn't until after the race that I checked it was mechanical fault that didn't end his race actually, as we're coming through the chicane here on lap 6. You can see both Aston Martins behind us as we're still trying to hold on. Gasly up in the P7 as we're coming through to start sector 3. Yellow marker, and you can see a little plume of smoke there from Alonso back behind us for a split second. If you guys rewind, you'll see it as we're coming across from left to right. That's going to be Alonso in DNF as he drops back, and he actually causes a gap between Stroll and Albon. You see there between the top 10 and the bottom 10. Which basically makes it a lot harder for us, because if we drop back behind Stroll and he gets ahead of us, we're going to be in no man's land. So that's a decent fight for the start of this race. Lap 6, we're going to be making a move on Norris. He's already 1.2 seconds back behind Gasly, and we're looking to make a move to try and defend. We're one position up each, because Lando Norris dropping down positions. Hamilton and Sainz are fighting for position. So we're coming through. No action actually till lap 15 when we're actually coming in. The gap between myself and Gasly is now 3.6 seconds. Gasly's 4 seconds behind Russell. So this is a very interesting Hungary Grand Prix, as we see Verstappen coming in. That's Stroll staying out. And Lando Norris is going to be coming into the pits behind me. I believe it's Verstappen, myself, Lando Norris, and I believe that's Hamilton ahead of us as well, as we come in for our pit onto hard tires, and we have a good one, no issues there, as McLaren, Haas, and I believe that's the no, that was the Valtteri Bottas there in the background that we saw. So P14 coming out of the pits, and we're gonna go ahead and skip over to the next lap like we usually do, to see where we end up. Coming around the final few corners, Norris is still about a half second behind me. We see position changes coming through the pits. We're looking for a decent area of position. So Gasly still up ahead in P7, and is basically the same, pretty much the same positions that we were in before the pit strategy. So Gasly's P7. And we cut about half half of our gap, like almost 2 seconds between us and Gasly. He was like 3.5 seconds ahead before the pits or something like that. But Norris is still putting on the pressure behind us as we're coming through, trying to put heat into these hard tires. And the longer that we ran on these hard tires, the degradation wasn't so bad, but I don't know what it was. This car felt really understeery, even though we were able to make these turns. And that pretty much closed the gap between myself and Norris, and he's going to be able to make a move here on the long straight as we try to defend. Coming around this final corner to try and get a decent launch. You see Leclerc and Piastri are fighting for P2. Verstappen's ahead by almost 12 seconds as we have Norris on the inside. We brake late to try to counteract that move. He makes the move ahead of us. It's not really our fight, so we kind of just have to let it go. And hopefully we can use the tow from Norris to catch up to Gasly and retake that position and possibly even get ahead of Gasly. But lap 21 now, still a lot of action, but nothing really to put in the video. For lap 29 out of 35, Gasly and Norris are fighting. Norris is ahead as we're just watching this battle, and I think that was a bad call on my part, letting Norris go by, because he's already ahead in P7, and we're just gonna have to make that move on Gasly. We move him to the inside, we take the outside lane, and he gives us that position, but we're still close to Norris as we're in the latter half of the race. We're feeling pretty good. These hard tires are settling in. We can actually take some of these corners a lot well. Verstappen, Piastri, and Leclerc leading for our top three. Let's go ahead and go to our F1 commentators.
It's been an intriguing beginning to the season's second half. There hasn't been too much happening, yet there's been no shortage of action throughout the race. Martin, what are your thoughts on the race thus far?
The drivers are performing well. Hungary's track is indeed challenging for all Formula Series, with elevation changes significantly impacting setup. This is likely why there have been few position changes outside of the pit window. Teams are strategizing to manage tyre wear rather than aggressively overtaking. They instruct their drivers on the optimal times to push harder to achieve the desired positions. Consequently, we see Verstappen leading comfortably ahead of Piastri, who is currently in second place, followed by Charles Leclerc.
I'm examining the team performance progression for this season. Alpine is really challenging Aston Martin in the championship, with a tight contest among the top four teams as well. We also have another radio check-in with McLaren's Zach Brown. We haven't spoken for a few race weekends. How's today going for the team, Zach?
The race is progressing fairly well. Lando had a strong start, but encountered some electrical issues with his car, which caused him to lose a few positions. He's handling the situation as best as possible. We've also been keeping an eye on Oscar's car to avoid similar problems. You know, the team is confident that Oscar can maintain his second place position. We're on course for a respectable points finish, to keep that championship fight alive.
Anything to look forward to from the team in the coming races?
Like many other teams, we are expecting some upgrade packages for the Netherlands as well as Monza.
As always, we thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule to sit in with us here in the commentary box. Zach Brown, team owner of McLaren, as they are fighting for a decent finish, as we are viewing the gaps between drivers in the top 10. Very close margin between a few of them as we get back to racing.
And yeah, just like that, lap 23 moves on to lap 26. Gasly's going to be close behind. The gap between us and Norris is already 6.7. So Gasly's going to have that free chance to overtake us here on the inside. We're going to give it to him because we have Stroll behind. We want to hold off Stroll as much as we can in order to secure as many points as we can, because Gasly's still trying to fight for points in this championship. A lot more than we are, actually. We're doing a lot better so far this season as we move on to lap 29 when Stroll is close enough to try to make a move, and potentially a 3-wide moment here into the first corner, but no, we're going to make a late break and dive onto the inside, overtaking Gasly once again on lap 30 of 35. The race is almost over. We're still holding off Stroll as best as we can, and it comes down to the final lap. As we're coming through the end of sector 2, we have to slow down in order to try and not get any penalties, because we're down to our last track limits penalty. You guys saw Stroll is in P9 behind us, and there's nothing I can really do. I just have to hope that Gasly can get ahead of him through these final few corners, but it is very difficult to get a good line out of this final corner. But that's going to be it for us here in Hungary to start off the second half of the season. We're going to be finishing in P8.
And in the end, there was no Verstappen. Max Verstappen, he takes victory.
Well, that's 2 wins in a row for them now. That's really going to help them gain confidence and start to build that momentum that they're really going to be looking for.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport action. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.